Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second. We move in second, then we adopt the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Guest presentation. Angie, you are up. Angela,
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to give you guys a really quick overview of this Ready for Kindergarten program that we've been kind of piloting this school year in our community. I am part of a group called the KJ7 ELC, which stands for the Kendrick, Julietta, Seven Ridges Early Learning Collaborative. We started in 2017, and Dory passed out a pamphlet and then a one-pager. I'm not going to go through that with you guys. If you want more information on what we do, there's a lot that we do in the community, but one of the things that I'm a part of is presenting parenting workshops to families with children ages birth to 5. So, go ahead and go to the next slide. And there's just a quick 2-minute video if you can just watch it about the why, because I think this will help understand why we're doing this. It'll play for you. That's what I could just talk about.
Any kindergarten teacher can tell you, children do not start school with the same language and literacy skills. On day 1 of kindergarten, there is a 5-year range. Out of every 10 children, 2 enter kindergarten with language and literacy skills 2 to 3 years below grade level, 2 enter 1 year behind, and 2 enter at grade level. The top 4 children will start 1 to 2 years above grade level. Most parents believe children who start behind will catch up within a year or 2, but that is not the reality. Students who are 1 to 3 years behind typically make a year's worth of growth each year, just like all students. But the bad news is, they're still 1 to 3 years behind grade level. Closing the learning gap once a child begins school is costly and difficult because the child needs to achieve their normal year of growth plus another year of growth to catch up by even a single level. The data is clear. All children can and will improve, but most will never catch up to their classmates. And this has a lifelong impact. The highest performing students have an 81% chance of going to a 4-year university and only a 6% chance of dropping out of high school. But the lowest group of students has almost no chance of going to a 4-year university and a 55% chance of dropping out of high school. This means every child's kindergarten starting point matters. The good news is there is something you can do about it. Communities, schools, caregivers, and parents all have a role to ensure children are ready for school on day 1. A child's learning from birth to age 5 determines their kindergarten starting point. It is in those early years that the readiness gap before kindergarten is created, and from the time the child is born until age 5, home is the easiest place to change a child's academic trajectory.
So if you don't mind, skip to the next slide. So that is why we are doing what we're doing, and we're offering these workshops. So the project was founded by the Children's Reading Foundation, and they are out of Washington State. They formed around the mid-90s, I believe in 96, based on high school dropout. They had a high rate of high school dropouts in Washington State, so the Children's Foundation was formed, and that's where this program was born or started. And I told you they're for parents, families with children 0 to 5, and they're free to all families in the state of Idaho. Next slide. And so we offer workshops based on the age where the children are, and they attend 3 workshops. So 0 to 1 or 1 to 2. We've only offered the age 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 because each workshop, if you go to the next slide, it'll show that it's a series. They attend 3 workshops per year. You're supposed to set it up as a fall, winter, spring, and parents come to the workshops and then they select the age range that they need to attend, and they just go into a classroom and a facilitator facilitates. They last about an hour to an hour and a half. And I'm the only facilitator right now, so it's kind of hard for me to do that. So I've taught 6 workshops, but I've only been able to do 2 full workshop series. Well, we're going to have our last one in April. So we focus on kindergarten readiness skills, and we go over 26 learning targets, very specific. We have a language literacy component, a math and reasoning, and a social and emotional. Go to the next slide. And the really cool thing about this is every parent receives a binder that has tabs for all 5 years of their child's life with these targets in them. And we provide a toolkit. And the toolkit is full of toys and educational resources. And I reached out to Ready to find out what it does actually cost, because these kits are pretty nice toys, like Melissa and Doug, and high quality. And with everything included, the kits are $100 per session with all the shipping and everything included. But to do a full program, it's $450 per family. So they're receiving about $300 in resources, and then they get the time for the facilitator. We provide free childcare and a meal. It's about a $450 program that they benefit. And so the next slide. And so we partner, when I say we, our community group, with the KJ7 Early Learning Collaborative, we partner with the Idaho AEYC. So Idaho AEYC is providing all the funding for this. And that's where we get the money to do this program. I've developed a really strong relationship with the Ready program director. She loves Kendrick. I don't know why, but she loves us, and she really wants to earmark funds for us for the next school year. And she said, tell me what you need, and we'll make this happen. And I'm like, well, I need to see how big we want this to grow, and we're kind of at that point right now where our group has to come together. And that's what I wanted to present to all of you. So when you hear about Ready in the community, you know what it is. And so you can see on the map, these are all the areas in the state of Idaho that have Ready programs. And so Region 2, it's us and Tendercare Children's Center in Lewiston. Those are the only 2 in our region. And then the next slide, or the last slide, is there one more? No? Okay, never mind. I was going to add one more. If you want more information, like I was going to talk about who's in our organization. There's Jessica Chenault, she's our preschool teacher. We have Amber Witt, community member. Myself, I'm going to forget someone, Erin Davis, our librarian. Who am I forgetting? Val Lohman. There's, what'd you say? Jessica Clunhagen, yes, our kindergarten teacher, of course. And Christina Alexander, she's a child care provider in our community. And we've given grants to Teresa Ireland and Christina. We really are also working on child care, because there's a crisis of child care throughout the state of Idaho, but especially in Kendrick and Julietta. We really need more child care daycare providers in our area. So that's all I was going to do, and answer any questions that you guys may have about the work we're doing in the community.
Thank you.
Oh, it's important. Thank you. Yeah, I think it really does make a difference. I mean, just being a kindergarten teacher, but not only like a 4th grade teacher, I know that when we have to have intervention, those kiddos are behind. It's so hard to do it in 4th grade. But if we can start working with the families and explaining what they need to do or how they can prepare, it makes a difference.
How do you find, how do you find the kids in the community?
Well, we want to just have it for everyone. So we just advertise on Facebook and Instagram, that sort of thing.
How's the response been with families from 0 to 5?
So our first workshop, we had 6 families, and this second round, we have 10 families, and 4 are returning. I'm looking at, here's one of my amazing comeback students, you know. So we have 10, and we had, no, I take that back. We had 6 return, 4 new families, because they were kind of, they were like, oh, I want to keep going and learn more. So So I thought, well, that's great, they're coming back, so they're getting something out of it. Yeah, so it's growing, and it's just something new we started. We'll see if we can continue, but sounds like they're earmarking funds for us for next year, if we want to continue our growth, so. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
I'm out of here. Have a good night.
So next we'll have Eric McDowell presenting about the fentanyl presentation.
Okay, so on February 23rd, Kendrick Junior Senior High School went up to Troy with Genesee, Deary, Troy, a bunch of the small schools around here, and the Quad City Task Force had a presentation on fentanyl in the area. And it is a problem. It's actually pretty interesting. You can buy this stuff straight, or a lot of your drugs are spiked with it. And I'm sure you guys have all seen in the news, if you, like, somebody's out, they're foaming at the mouth, which is a common symptom of overdose. You actually touch them and you get the powder on, it can be absorbed through the hands. And then that can be you. Very, very quickly. And so they went over the dangers of it, how it's made. So I guess a lot of it is you buy the raw ingredients, it's mixed with a drill in a bucket, and then you run it through a fill machine, and when they mix it, it's not uniform. So when you go to the pharmacy and buy drugs, the uniform concentration, what they do, troubleshooting and quality control do that. Well, that's not the case here. And so you might get a high dose, a lethal dose, and in one pill and not in the other, even if it's out of the same bucket. And so they went over that, and then how it's used. So apparently, when you buy it straight, it's usually in little pills, and they like to smoke it. They'll take little bits of tin foil and crush it and smoke it like that, and you're done. There is a antidote for it, and we actually have some. Both the high school and the elementary have some that I got, and it's a nasal spray, and you usually get two bottles, each with 2 doses. And if somebody's got it, down overdosing, you can spray it, and you can actually, if it does one spray doesn't work, you can keep spraying it, and you can't overdose on the Narcan. So, yeah. It's interesting and kind of terrifying. Any questions?
Hopefully that sunk into all the students when they're washing it. Unfortunately, we've had a community member die from it, so
Yeah.
that's some.
Well, even like some of the lesser drugs, like marijuana, you can get some spiked. And so, yeah, unfortunate.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
So next, consent agenda. We got the minutes from last meeting, bill payments, classified personnel action, and dispose of some surplus technology items that are listed below. So if everybody wants to look at the bills quick.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next one, Patron Input, no Patron. We'll go to informational reports. We'll start with the financial report. Kendall?
On the financial report, I just put our current balances for Wells Fargo, LGFP, and then our ESSER funding that's available. This next month, the big item on my to-do list will be starting on the budget. Unfortunately, I can't do much of anything until the JFAC's budget gets through legislature. JFAC finally agreed on their budget today. I attended a webinar about it. I do have a copy of that if anybody would like to look at it. But until anything is approved at the legislative session, there's not a whole lot we can do. The big ticket item right now is whether we're going to be funded based on ADA, which is what we were pre-COVID. During COVID, we were funded based on enrollment. Obviously, we would much rather stay funded based on enrollment. Other than that, my goal by the next board meeting is to have a rough blueprint of what our budget will look like. And then just as a miscellaneous item, I did attend the Spring Finance IASBO conference. That was the first part of March. A lot of information, obviously with the legislature being in session, there was a lot of talk on that. Met a lot of great contacts, a lot of great people. Yeah, got a little better idea of what I'm supposed to be doing with my job here, I guess. What I should be doing anyways. There's any questions?
So on the ESSER funding, so which ones needs to be spent?
So ESSER 2 is to be expended by June 30th of 2024. ESSER 3 is December 31st of 2024. So we still have quite a bit of money sitting out there that needs to be spent, so.
Anybody else have any questions for Kendall? Yeah, thanks, Kendall. Next we go to the technology director's report.
Mr.
Dan?
Kirkland, can you keep the TV on, please? While that's going up, I had CompuNet come back out and we did a complete survey of both sites for cameras and door access control. So the front page that you have there is a floor plan of the elementary school. And pretty much, so the color coding, as you see it, like the yellow one there, those are cameras that have usually a 360-degree view. Reds are 45s, or excuse me, 90 degrees. And then the other ones are 180 for green. The small green dots that you see there, those are door access control. So much in the same way that the front door on the building here, on both buildings are, it's the exact same thing. This is a start over, right? Because we want to get cameras in the right places, and that's why you have a professional come in and tell us where they actually need to go and purchase the right gear for this. If you flip it over, that's the high school. One of the things that we talked about doing is we would have badge access for the gym and also for the weight room. That way we can make sure that that door off of the weight room, that key gets changed, because it normally, as it sits right now, if you have access to that one, you have access to the building. So let's get that separated, and that way we also know who's coming in and out of that room as well. That's also, insurance-wise, can be a dangerous one if you have people unsupervised that are doing stuff in there. The two outside locker room doors would also have badge access to, so if we needed to set those for a timer to come on for, people getting back from a trip or whatever it happens to be, we can do that, unlock those remotely. We have a blind spot in the building, which is going to be the far east corridor, that one down there. We don't have good camera coverage on that door coming in or out, or that section of the hallway, so that would be fixed with this as well. Based on negotiations last year, Mr. Ross wanted to get cameras put into the ag shop for safety reasons. And it's just been one of those ones where we just gotta wait until we get a good idea of what we're gonna do first before we start putting one of those in. Now, with all that being said, so this is the grand plan. This is not going to be cheap. I've already looked at the way we could source this, because it's under the $150,000 federal amount. So we can purchase this off of contract, which would make it much easier all the way around. Ballparking right now, I think the last quote that we worked out with them would be about $124 to get all this stuff done, which we would pay out of ESSER funds. So the money is there and it's available, so this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I think it'd be a good investment for us to make in this regard. So there's that one. So then on top of that, I got contacted by our website provider, who said, yeah, you guys are coming up for renewal, and we want to talk to you about what's going to, new rep, what are we going to do, this is what's going on. So I talked to him, so I pulled, this is an invoice from last year. We have been on a 3-year contract with them. We paid $390.60 for our website. Our website is basic, yes, and pretty much the traffic that we get is, we just have static information on there to begin with, right? People need to be able to go pull board agendas or the financial reports, whatever happens. We do the dynamics with things like Facebook and Twitter and the rest of them. We don't necessarily have them integrated in the site. We could definitely do that if we wanted to. So after much discussion with him, he sent over this quote. I don't know if you can see in the bottom right-hand corner there what that number is. You will notice that is item 1, quantity 1, for 12 months for the exact same website that we currently have right now. And they would charge us $30,000. Of which I said, oh, that's ridiculous, actually. And so one of the things, future planning for me, I need to get a set of those AED paddles in my office somewhere, so that way next time something like this happens, I at least have the ability to try and revive myself after getting something like that. But so what does that mean? Well, it means we're going to be buying a new website here shortly and moving providers and all the rest of that. So that is to come. I have a meeting on Friday with IETA. I'm going to be polling all the other tech directors. What are you using? How bad was it to get in? We're going to have to take it from the ground up, because basically the way their contract is that they own all the material on the site. And so we get to start over. So there's another summer project that we get to do, and I have one other thing here I want to show you guys. So we've also started the integration with Power School. And the Power School integration, to say that there's a lot of work to do, I think is a drastic understatement. I'm going to pull this in here. I want you guys to see. So this is the data import template that Power School has sent over to me. And you'll notice at the bottom here, they have all these different tabs. And there's a lot of them. Well, and if you think about it, it is, in theory, that's where everything that we have lives. So what I have to do is I have to go into TylerSys and then try to find the matching fields and then line these things up to do an extract and then massage the data so that way it goes into a format that looks good for us to be able to import into Power School. Here's the problem. You have 5 years worth of student data that we have to pull, extract, massage, and put into the system. So as it sits right now, I have current year students for the first 2 tabs built and done and put in. The student contacts one is one that gets pretty hairy, because if you think about the way that a a lot of families are set up. You have, let's take worst case scenario. You have Joe Schmuckatelli who he's a 7th grader, and he's got 2 siblings down at the elementary school, and they all have different fathers, we'll say, okay? And we're living with certain people, but mom has a restraining order against one of them, but not all of them. I have to be able to reflect in the system the wishes of all of these people at the exact same time. So mailings may need to go to one location, but mailings are not necessarily going to go to another location. Or if we have an emergency, by law we can't contact this guy because so trying to extract that data and put it in the system and have it make sense is going to be quite hefty. I'll be honest with you, I have all my time right now is taken up doing this because we have a hard deadline at the end of the summer, and as slow and as painful as this is to pull 5 years worth of this data, I'm going to be pushing it to get it done by then. Training starts next month for staff and teachers for the new system. Mr. Eggers and I are pretty much locked at the hip on a lot of this stuff because he has to help me get the actual schools set up before we can import data into it to populate everything. He has his own special set of training that he has to do for the scheduling. So where there's a lot of questions to be answered and a lot of things. Mr. Kirkland's been on the hotline quite a bit to explain exactly, how do we do this? What's the, what's a grace period for tardies? What's the grace period for absences that we put in the system? But once this all gets done, it'll be pretty robust for what we've had to what we're going to have now. So that's pretty much my life at this point. Anybody have any questions? I'd rather have a root canal or multiple root canals than to do this. So. All right, thanks everybody.
Yeah, thanks Dan. Next we'll go to the JES Trustee Report.
It's not as painful if you look on the sheet. We did gain a student last week, so our enrollment is back up to 151. Our attendance is a little bit low for the month, and we just have been doing great things. We had a celebration for reading. We had, oops, it's a typo. That's not $2. That's a we did scratch for schools. Did your school do it as well? Did you guys do
$7 less than you.
it? We got 276.
You beat us by $7.
Okay. So I apologize for that one. Yeah, we have some student-led conferences coming up. We do have our artist coming in. She's going to do a project next week. And we have a performance from the Idaho Youth. They're going to be performing next week. It's called Air Art. Our high station results are attached. And you can compare the two from September to March. Are there any questions about those? Great, thank you.
All right, thanks Dory. Next we'll go to the principal and superintendent report.
Okay, under Kendrick High School, our students of the month this month in the category of music students of the month was Hudson Kirkland and Bailey Worley. Discipline report, we had more referrals over the past month, which I guess is probably pretty normal for March maybe. And 4 suspensions, 0 bus referrals. Our attendance was up a little bit from last month at 94.23%. In athletics, our boys basketball team wrapped up the season with the state championship, and spring sports are underway. We've got quite a few kids participating. 20 junior high boys basketball, 9 girls. High school baseball is at 19. Well, we started at 22 and then we just went down to 19. 16 from Kendrick. High school softball is at 22 and track's at 18.
under the district. I put this on here before we had results last night, but I passed some things out to everybody if you wanted to just take a look there. You may have already looked at them, but I put a little table together too, so you can kind of look at the last few years worth. But our percentage yesterday was 71%. So jumped up from our last couple that we've had.
Votes are down, I see.
Yeah, votes are down. Yeah, it's hard telling, yeah.
Well, it was by itself.
Yeah, yeah, so, anyway, it was nice to see that pass rate get up a little bit higher than what it's been, especially just the you know, with the climate right now, I think everybody was probably a little bit nervous. I don't know, any thoughts or discussion on that?
Did better in Clearwater County than we did. Must have got family outvoted there somewhere.
Better than usual.
Yeah, it's usually we get beat by a lot. Clearwater County.
I'm not sure what, Dan, do you have any idea, like with the numbers, how was the turnout this time compared to last time, like for Genesee?
Bad.
Was it lower this time than the last couple?
Yeah, I think it's like 8% or something like that.
Yeah, Lewiston's numbers were down quite a bit too with turnout.
I'm surprised at our Linden turnout. That was an interesting set of numbers.
Fieldhouse update, painting the blocks is scheduled, start next week. Tile and plumbing fixtures have been ordered. Kid Warner's ready to install lockers once painting and tile work's complete. Tim Cannon, we're in the process of installing lighting. So pretty much everything is on order. No, not everything, but for the most part, main things right now. So we're waiting for those things to come in and for people to get going. I didn't include it, did I? I was going to include the long-term facilities plan in here, just because I wanted to talk about Julietta a little bit. I didn't put it in here, but I'll just talk. One of the things that we've kind of been throwing around is putting in a new HVAC system at Julietta. You know, Justin's really been doing a lot of research on this, and he's getting some folks that are, you know, in that business that are, you know, telling them there might be, you know, better options and more affordable options at the same time, rather than trying to get an HVAC system up in there. But so he's still working on that, and I'll bring more information down the road on that. But there might be some options, you know, and some folks have even just said, you know, just put yourself on a schedule for, you know, replacing like tubing and different things on the current system, because we know things are going to wear out with the water. But anyway, he'll come one of these meetings and talk a little bit more about that. We were waiting to see what happened yesterday too with the plant facilities levy as far as how we proceed there. So, but that's still on our radar, doing something down there. Maybe it's just doing you know, regular maintenance to keep up so we don't have issues with water down there, but maybe looking at some other options too. So this is survey season as well, so the parent, staff, and student engagement surveys have been sent out. Those were distributed by email. Those are the mandatory state surveys that we send out each year. So we should probably have some results back from those this summer. The student survey, we get almost 100% because we can track who's tested, so we're usually pretty close to 100% there. The parent survey, you know, we don't get a lot of people filling those out. So if you got those, you can take a minute to fill those out. That'd be good. So, and then the staff survey, you know, we generally get maybe, I don't know, half the the staff to complete those. We don't see a record of who's taken that or not, but anyway, so we got those out. Our alert system, K-12, you know, Dan and I have been trying to figure out what's going on there. It hasn't been working properly. Voice messages are saying in the system that they've been delivered to phones, but phones are not actually getting them. And the vendor is saying that on their end, everything looks correct, and they're suggesting it's a tower or service issue here. And so it created, the last time we sent out an alert, which honestly we didn't even have to send out an alert, we did it just kind of as a courtesy because there was an event going downtown, the police didn't recommend any sort of thing. We just wanted to send out an alert saying, hey, if you have walkers, tell them to avoid this area. But the fact that it didn't go out correctly created an issue. So that was a little bit frustrating. You want to talk about that, Dan?
Yeah, so 2 things out of that. This year we've had a lot of problems with inland networks. Not just the cell phone company, but just inland telephone altogether. I have had multiple tickets because we have parents who say that when they get called from the school, they're not getting the phone calls. And so there's a very time-sensitive procedure you have to go through to get a ticket put in our case from TDS, for them to then pull the call logs and then send the call inland and tell them what's going on. Now, if you call inland directly, they will tell you it's not them. We've proven time and time again that it is them. Now, with our current system that we have, they do not have there's basically an error message that you would normally get based on the calls. They don't have the extended set to tell us what the response codes are because they're not a telephone company. And since we're moving to Power School next year, we are going to be switching notification systems as well. So the company that I'll be bringing that next month for us to approve, the company that does that they are set up as a CLEC, so a local carrier exchange. So if those calls don't go through and we call in and say, like Mr. Kirkland is a great example, he puts out the alert, his phone should ring, and it didn't, and it says, no, we tried 3 times, it did it. Their system will be able to go back and say, we need you to open the case with the carrier, and they will do that for us on their end. So that will be replaced coming next year.
Yeah, so I mean, and we sent out a message to families too and said, like, we know this is an issue, we're looking into it, we've looked into it, and we don't have a fix for it at this point. I can't correct this issue with Inland Cellular. Anyway, so we can still email and do all of those things, and those things are instantaneous, but the phone messages are not working well right now. And going on, board training, do you want to talk about that?
So next month on April 26th on a Wednesday, after our regular meeting, which will be on April 19th, I believe, we'll have board training between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. with ISBA, and it'll be new member training. The board will be here. We'll have light dinner provided. Shouldn't be too bad. 2 hours of training. That's about it.
Sounds good.
That was Jason,
Yeah.
Sounds good. Under the strategic plan items, we've got some things that we have had going on recently. The first one is under focus area 1, college and career students. So we've got students, our juniors, going to Higher Education Day. They're going to be attending that at LCSC on March 22nd. Post-secondary Idaho schools present to students from the region, and then students are able to go and meet with school representatives to ask questions. We've also, in addition to that, we invited reps from LCSC and the U of I to come and meet with students here at the school that were interested or planning to attend there next year. So we have lots of things going on in that focus area. Focus area 3, safety and facilities. Mr. McDowell presented on that, but we had those. We had all students 7 through 12 attend the fentanyl awareness presentation. And then focus area number 6 under extracurricular activities. We've had this thing going on called the Artemis Roads Challenge, and Mr. Ross is leading a group of 6 junior high students in participating in the Artemis Roads Challenge. And I put a description of what this activity is below, but basically the ROADS program, or Rover Observation and Drone Survey, is a framework that lets students explore STEM concepts through hands-on activities. ROADS takes inspiration from real NASA projects and guides students on a space-related mission, so I'm taking this right from their website, as you can tell. Each year we update ROADS to tackle different science and engineering problems, and those students go through those activities. And then I have a bullet points of different things that they're doing in that with this endeavor. So we've got lots of things going on, and we're continuing to look at what came out of that strategic plan and making sure that we're hitting all of those focus areas and doing things in there. And that is all I have tonight. Is there any questions? Okay.
All right, thanks, Steve. Next is trustee reports. Are there any trustee reports? Seeing none, we'll move to the action items then. First one is approved request for school bus bid. You want to talk about that, Steve?
Yeah, sure. I put the bid in there on the following pages. So we are interested in getting another school bus, 53 passenger conventional bus. We order buses every 3 years or so. We're being told that the timeout right now from order to getting it is longer than usual. That information comes from Justin. So on the requested delivery date, we just put to be determined, because we don't know realistically what it would be. It would probably be maybe late 23, nearing Christmas, maybe a little bit after Christmas. So our last bus that we purchased was 21, and I believe we purchased it in 20 and received it just in the new year in 21. So it's been about 3 years. Any questions about that?
Did you ask about seatbelts?
Go ahead.
I believe the first 2 rows of this will have seatbelts, but I do not believe it was included on it. And Justin did talk to him. I didn't hear the answer to it though.
He's getting a cost on it. It wasn't listed on the information we got.
How big was that last one we got, the big one we got now?
I want to say 71, if I can recall.
Yeah, it's the biggest one we
It's
got.
the larger one.
Yeah.
Gets me food.
Mhm.
What's that?
Yeah, it is long.
I'll find out about the seatbelts. So if we approve this and we get some bids, we'll get the seatbelt part of it in there and find out what that would cost.
Do you want me to touch on that email?
Yeah, go for it.
So we budgeted at the beginning of last fiscal year $80,000 into a transfer account for transportation, so that money's sitting there. And then we currently have $33,920 in our bus depreciation account that we contribute to every year. So we're sitting at just under $114,000, which should cover, yeah. If not, we have some wiggle room in the general fund in our transportation budget remainder from this year, so that'll be there. We won't be paying for it probably until later or late of next fiscal year, so if that's something we do need to increase our budget with a little bit, we definitely have the time to do that, so.
Other questions about that?
I guess we just need a motion to approve the
A motion to approve the bus bid request.
I'll second. Go ahead, yeah. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the school bus bid. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next one is approve the February 22nd school cancellation day, which was a snow day.
I move we approve the snow day on February 22nd.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the cancellation of the snow day on February 22nd. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next one is to approve Quest CPAs for fiscal year 23 financial audit. When you guys want to expand on that?
Yeah, go to.
Their current proposal is $7,900. We paid them $7,500 last year, so it just went up a little bit. Other auditors are upping their prices anywhere from 15 to 20%, so we actually are sitting pretty good. I obviously didn't go through the audit with Quest last year, but I have been in contact with Tim Boyd, who was our auditor, and I don't see why we wouldn't go with Quest. That's my recommendation. I believe he and I are on the same page with organization and what he is requiring from us to perform the audit, so.
He seemed good to work with last year, I thought.
Yeah, well, and yeah, just the few conversations I've had with him, I'm really impressed, so.
Okay.
Motion to approve Quest CPAs 23 as the auditor.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Quest CPAs for fiscal year 23 financial audit. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Yeah. Come on, get down through it here. The next action item is approve GoGuardian internet filter renewal. Dan, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so it's up for renewal. This year it's a yearly. We're gonna do a 3-year on it, so that way we can use ESSER funds for it. ESSER rules, they basically don't like anything over 4 years for a multi-year contract, but as long as I figured go for 3 and then pay it all up front, that way we don't have the additional costs going over those extra years. They are aware of that and they'll write the contract accordingly, so that way we're gonna save ourselves some money on this, use the Fed's money for it.
Is there any reduction in price for doing a 3-year deal?
They took 10 cents off each seat. A whopping, I think it was like $10 or something like that, it came down, so.
All right, there's a motion to approve the GoGuardian internet filter renewal.
I would move to approve the GoGuardian internet filter renewal.
I'll second it. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the GoGuardian internet filter renewal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then the last agenda item is executive session.
I move we go into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 206.
So it's been moved and seconded, we go into executive session, and we'll take a roll call for this one.
Roll call. Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Henry?
Aye.
Mr. Townsend? Aye. And then the